Hey guys, what's up? Bisectatron here from OneHive Gazette, here with my next video, and in this one, I'm talking about how to defend at Town Hall 9 against the dragon attack strategies. I did a video on this attack strategy, which I'll put the link in the description in case you want to learn how to use this attack, but in this video I'm talking about how to defend it, because as you guys may have seen in your wars, dragons are becoming very popular at Town Hall 9, and typically what you see is you see a queen walk to get like 2 air defenses. They might use Zap Quake on another one, and then come in with either the king or a lava hound or something to go in there, take out the last air defense. Then they send dragons in by the queen, because in the current anti 3-star bases, the air defenses are typically all kind of on one side, like in this base, and that makes it so that you can send dragons in by the queen and they can take her out pretty quickly. So we're going to talk about a few things you can do to defend against this when you're building your base at Town Hall 9. Okay, so let's start with, I guess, the air defense placement, because that's probably the most important thing you can do. Obviously, on any kind of anti-3-star base, you're going to want your air defenses to be kind of far away from your queen. This one right here is a little bit suspect, because you could technically do 3 lightnings and probably take out the queen and the air defense, so I wouldn't recommend putting it right next to your queen. Probably want to have all 4 of them at least a little distance from her, just to make it harder to get the queen and air defenses in the same troop space or the same spells or whatever. So this is my base, by the way, an older version that I'm no longer using. So I'm just going to use it as an example because it's pretty good against dragons. So besides that 1 air defense that might be too close to the queen, you can see here there's no 2 air defenses that the queen can take out on a queen walk. Or a queen charge, whatever you call it. Basically, what people like to do is they like to wall breaker into one part of the base and then come in here and try to get like multiple air defenses. So you want to make it so that in none of your outer compartments can the queen reach 2 air defenses or more. So what I mean by that is in any given compartment that the queen can walk into, like one that's on the outside that can be wall breakered into, like that would be this compartment, this one, that one, just all the ones that can be easily wall breakered into. If the queen goes in there, she should only be able to reach 1 air defense. So taking a look at this base, coming into this compartment, she can get the 1, but she can't reach that one, it's too far away. So keep that in mind. She can shoot, if it's within, what is it, like, there has to be 1 standard spaced building plus a blank space between the wall in the air defense, so just 4 tiles between the air defense and the wall. That way the queen can't reach it. In any one of these compartments, if you look at them on the outside, there's nowhere where the queen can come in and get 2 air defenses or more. Now, like for example, this one you might say, okay, she can come in and get 3 if she comes in here, but this is not an outer compartment, and it's very tricky to use a jump spell with your queen. I guess someone technically could try to drop a jump, drop the queen, and then have her kind of walk in this way, but that takes a little bit more of a skilled attacker to do, so I wouldn't worry about that for your base. I'd worry about the compartments that can just be easily wall breakered into, making sure those do not allow the queen to have access to 2 or more air defenses, which is kind of tricky to do, but typically it helps to have 1 kind of in the core of your base, then 3 others kind of spread out, so that might help to get that done, but typically you're going to want to have no more than 1 air defense being able to be taken out. Now, if you do have 2, because on some bases, if you're designing it against hogs, you can't avoid it. You're going to have 2 air defenses that can be taken out when the queen walks into 1 compartment. And what you do there is, for first thing, you want to have the air sweeper to help out. So let's say that on this compartment right here, the queen can reach this air defense. Let's say it's closer up. It's like right here, by that where the dark elixir storage is. You want to have your air defense, or your air sweeper pointing out to push the healers away. That way, if someone tries dragons, the air sweeper is going to push back the healers. They're going to have to use a rage. They're going to have to pop the ability quicker. It's going to be harder, and it's going to cost more troop space and spell space to get in there and take out the air defenses. So you want to make it as hard as possible. If you do allow them access to 2 air defenses with the queen walk, make it as hard as possible to do so. So you can use skeleton traps and the king. Those are great tools, the king especially, because they're going to have to use a rage or the ability or something to take him out. He's not doing you any good if he's over by the queen, because the dragons will just take him out and he can't fight against dragons. But the part he can fight against is the queen. So keep him, along with an air sweeper, near where the queen can come in and get 2 air defenses, if that's a possibility on your base. It's better that it's not, but if it is, just keep that in mind. Keep the king over there. Maybe your skelly traps, or put your skelly traps on air. That helps also. But the king is a great tool, as well as a lot of point defense, so maybe some expos, or some cannons, stuff like that. Another thing you want to think about is the placement of your archer towers and wizard towers and Teslas. So typically Tesla farms aren't great where you think there's going to be a queen walk, because they don't have much range, and by the time they can hit the queen can typically hit them. So Tesla farms are not very anti-queen walk, not good for anti-queen walk bases. You want to keep them probably where the dragons are going to go, because they'll do better against the dragons if you kind of hide them next to some high HP buildings. The dragons get stuck on the high HP, while the Teslas can do a lot of damage to them, so that's something that helps against dragons. Also, keep your archer towers, your wizard towers, and your expos, like other stuff that targets air troops, away from where you think they'll use their queen walk. That way the queen's going to have to deal with cannons, which doesn't help the air part of the attack, because the cannons can't do anything anyway against the dragons. So you might as well put some cannons nearby your air defenses where you think the queen's going to come from. That way you have your archer towers still up, along with like expos and wizard towers on the other side of the base. So typically you're going to want to put them in this compartment or nearby compartments where you think the dragons are going to come, because obviously they can target dragons. So that's going to be your best defense as far as getting rid of dragons. Also, you can put air traps by your queen, especially if you think your base is strong against just a traditional lava hound attack. Because, I mean, you don't want to completely sell out to guessing they're going to use dragons, but if you suspect your base can defend well against lava hounds and balloons and stuff, go ahead and put a few of these black air bombs right here, along with some of the red ones in this queen compartment, just to get in there, take out the dragons. It'll help with some damage. Don't put the blacks, don't double them up, because you don't want them to get wasted on the same dragon. You want each of them hitting an individual dragon separately, so you get the most damage for each of those. So keep that in mind also. As far as anything else, we have the one air sweeper that you want to use. Let me get rid of this. The one air sweeper you want to use to help push back healers where you think the queen will enter the base. Also, your other air sweeper can be used to point out this way towards the queen. That way, if dragons come in, they're getting pushed back by the air sweeper. So that also helps if you have your second air sweeper pointing towards the queen, so it can push the dragons away as they come into the queen area. I think that's pretty much it, though. I'm going to show a few bases in the current war of the enemy clan, and I'll talk about what's good, what's not, how good it is to defend against a dragon attack. So let's take a look at some of these Town Hall 9s. Very good clan, Immortal Thieves, so should have some pretty solid bases. Alright, starting with this one, it kind of has the same problem I did with the queen next to the air defense. Not the best idea, just because you don't want to give them the option of using lightnings to take out your queen and your air defense. As far as everything else goes, it looks pretty good to me. I don't see a place where the queen can come in and get 2 air defenses, because this compartment right here with the wizard tower, there's kind of that little outer compartment, which makes it hard to wall breaker in. So it would be tricky, plus the air sweeper's here, like I said, so it's going to push back any queen that tries to enter at the bottom there. So pretty hard to get in there and get those 2 bottom air defenses. And the ones up top, like this one, that compartment's protected because there's like the outer compartment with the king. So hard to enter there and then try to get these 2 air defenses. Not going to happen. Plus there's the air sweeper in the area. So a pretty good base overall for defending against dragons. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so this next one, also a solid base too. And you can see here like this compartment with the elixir storage, this compartment over here. Both those compartments can be used to get 2 air defenses. Because I think from here you can reach that other one. Yeah, you probably can reach that one. But something to notice is that they're set back with the walls. So someone who wants to come into this compartment, for example, right in here, it's going to be a little bit trickier to wall breaker in than normal, because the wall breakers might target these walls or something like that. So just even setting back the compartment a little bit helps quite a bit. Obviously, a good attacker probably still could wall breaker into one of these walls, but it's just a little bit trickier and it makes it a little bit harder. Plus, the king's in the area, which helps too. And yeah, it's not the easiest base. It could be done probably, but there's the air sweepers, maybe not the best positioning on them, but it's a solid base and it's still going to be difficult to take out. One thing to think about is if you have a compartment that the queen can access 3 air defenses, and that compartment's one of the outer compartments that just can be wall breakered into, you're going to want to redo your base, because no matter what you have as far as air sweepers go, that's just giving up too much. And under rage, the queen and her healers can take out pretty much any compartment, no matter how many point defense there is. So I would rethink any compartment that can access 3 air defenses. That's typically not going to go well for you against dragons. Taking a look at this next base though, pretty solid. The one thing is that this compartment can access 2 air defenses, but like I said, that's not an outer compartment. There's this little mini compartment that makes it harder to wall breaker in. Obviously, I didn't go over this, but obviously no air defenses can be taken out on a queen walk along the outside because they're too deep into the base. So don't put your air defense where that cannon is, because it can just be easily taken out as the queen walks along the outside of the base. Like this air sweeper, it's pointed to try to push away any dragons, so that's very nice. And the king's over there too, in case someone tries to get in and get both those air defenses on the top. So pretty solid. Let's take a look at one more base. Alright, finally, we have this base, which I think is not the best, just because this compartment's so easy to wall breaker into. You're getting, and actually there's a hole right there, wonder if they'll change that, but you're getting the archer tower, 2 wizard towers, and then 2 air defenses. So you're getting a little bit of extra value besides those 2 air defenses, but they're pretty handy. You can even wall breaker the king in with a golem up here, take out, archer towers, sweeper, another air defense, and then maybe use a zap quake on that one. Now there is that one air sweeper that has pretty good positioning there. So whoever attacks this base, if they use dragons, will probably have to use a rage for their dragons to keep them moving quicker. But the king isn't doing a whole lot of good here. It takes a little while for the dragons to kill him, so he does tank for a little bit and waste a little bit of time, but he'd be better served trying to protect the air defenses on the queen walk. So yeah, that's just something to think about though. Obviously you have to balance this with defending against hogs and defending against valks and all kinds of other attack strategies at Town Hall 9, but it is pretty popular, so this is something to think about. As far as the CC troops you want to use, I typically would say a P.E.K.K.A. for lower Town Hall 9s, because if the queen is like level 19 or 18 and lower, the P.E.K.K.A. can take her out in one shot if it's maxed out. So a P.E.K.K.A. can be a very good anti-queen walk, because you have to pop the ability. A rage won't even do it, because it can one-shot the queen. So a P.E.K.K.A. is good for the CC. Also for higher level Town Hall 9s, a Lava Hound, because it takes up time. And if there's point defense on the queen already, it can be kind of a nuisance. Plus the pups, take up time, do damage to the queen. So Lava Hound works well. Typically you don't want to do just like witches and wizards and archers, because with a poison spell they go down real quick. So a golem can even work, but it only does the same thing as the Lava Hound. So I would use a Lava Hound over a golem in most cases. So usually Lava Hound or P.E.K.K.A., but you can be creative with your CC. Anyway though, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope it helps for you guys who are Town Hall 9s trying to set up a war base, because this is a popular attack like I said, and you want to make sure your base is defended against it. One thing, this one air defense can be queen walked, so not the best placement there, but I'm assuming this guy will redo his base because of the hole right there. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye, Stackatron out.